Hey y'all, it's Maria Calm again. Um, I am again trying to stay consistent, so I'm trying to get another recording out this week. Woohoo. I'm incredibly tired. I don't really know why. I was gonna try and go take a walk to see if that would help me feel less tired. But it just started getting really windy and really gusty outside, so I'm not gonna do that because it is still winter and the wind just makes it really gross. If it was like summer or fall or whatever and also windy, I would care less and I would probably still go for a walk. But since it is winter and it is not warm, it it is a bigger deal when it is windy in the winter around here. It makes it feel significantly colder and stuff. So, not gonna do that. I will just try and do a recording instead. So last night I was watching, really just listening to some YouTube videos in the background while I was doing some other stuff. And I was also really tired last night after work, so I didn't do a recording about this then. I tried, and I was too tired, and it was terrible. So, but yeah. So I was listening to some videos in the background, and one of them was talking about internalized misogyny, and just kind of made me, talking about it in a different way than I have heard folks talk about it in the past. And that just kind of made me think about my own life and my own upbringing and how I was as a kid growing up and stuff, and made me think about it a little bit more. So I never really thought about internalized misogyny being something that would affect me or has probably affected me a lot in my past and things like that until I was listening to this video last night, and the way that the person in the video was talking about internalized misogyny, I was like, oh, maybe I was affected by internalized misogyny and just no one has ever put it into these kinds of words before. So maybe I was. So okay, new backstory. This backstory is about how I was growing up. Ta-da. So I have mentioned several times in previous recordings that I grew up in a conservative family, a conservative Catholic family. So a lot of traditional gender roles were really instilled in me at a young age. And so when I was a young child, I wore dresses and skirts a lot and acted like a typical girl and stuff. But I feel like I didn't really act like a typical girl. And by typical, I mean traditional. I mean, being meek and never talking about themselves and always trying to figure out what the men in their life need and blah blah, that kind of stuff. Doing girly things like playing with dolls, and when I was young, 4 or 5, I remember my sister and I wanted a tea set. These things are considered traditionally feminine things to want and all of that. So that's kind of how I was as a very young child. But the older I got, the more I want, kind of. So I don't know if this is how people talk about this anymore, but it's how we talked about it when I was growing up. So this is the terminology I'm going to use. I became kind of a tomboy, where I wanted to do boy things and I wanted to I don't know, run around outside and get dirty and stuff. And my brother, we would play football in the backyard and stuff like that. My brother, my sister, and I. And I wanted to wear pants and shorts and stuff and not dresses and skirts anymore. And when I was very young, I don't remember this, but I have been told that I wanted to have. I always said that I wanted a pink house and a pink car and a pink yard and pink everything. And then, as I got older, I was like, no, I actually really hate the color pink and I hate all of these girly things and I hate all of it. Now, I always attributed this like shift to the fact that my brother used to tell us that he wanted a younger brother, but instead he got two younger sisters, and he just kind of treated us like younger brothers anyway, which I don't know. Is that good, bad? Who knows? I like in some ways I was always like the older I got, I was like, well, cool, you're not like you didn't instill traditional gender roles in us like our parents wanted to, so I kind of like that, but uh it's kind of a bummer that that's only because you wanted a little brother and didn't get it, so you just pretended basically that you got a little brother anyway. um, but that's fine. I mean, good, bad, ugly, who knows? It worked out. So I always like attributed that to, oh well, my brother just treated us not like girls, so maybe that's why the shift happened. But I wonder now, like, how much of it was because of internalized misogyny, because I didn't, like, think about the fact that suddenly, like, hating girly things, and I mean, I don't anymore, but at the time I was like, no, girly things are stupid, girly things are for weak people, girly things are for girls, and girls are lesser, girls are, I mean, I didn't think those things consciously, but that was what I was attributing girly things to. So like I thought about, well, pink is for girls and that's not as cool, basically, is the way I thought about it at that time. So, like, it's probably not great. That was probably a lot of internalized misogyny. There's also things like, because now, like, I didn't want to wear dresses or skirts or anything, and I still don't really. They're not my thing. But I wonder how much of it too was like maybe realizing subconsciously that I was non-binary, but not having the vocabulary for that because I did not know that was a thing. That's why I just said I was a tomboy. um, but yeah, I wonder how much of it was like, oh, actually, I'm non-binary, but there was not a word for that in my vocabulary or in anyone's vocabulary around me. So I was just like, okay, well, this is just how I am, and it's just, I'm a tomboy. That's the way we talked about it back then. I just wonder how much of that is that too. But like at the time, it was very much I hate girl things, and that feels to me like it was probably internalized misogyny. I also wonder how much the idea of internalized misogyny, because of like seeing it in my family, seeing misogyny in my family and not having the vocabulary for that, so just thinking this is just how the world is. Even though my mom was working overnights for a good chunk of my childhood, for example, she was still expected to, like, my dad still expected her to cook most of the time, and she was the one expected to clean the house and all of that. And after now I have worked overnights, I spent almost 9 years of my life working overnights. It's not easy, and you don't have a lot of energy to do the normal day-to-day stuff. I can't imagine doing that with kids. I don't know how my mom did it, because she was expected to do most of the stuff, most of the traditionally feminine stuff you're supposed to do. And I mean, my dad did cook sometimes. Most of the time, we would just get like fast food or whatever when he was in charge of cooking, but sometimes he would actually cook. Um, Usually just like some kind of crazy concoction, like a casserole or something. out of just whatever we had in the house. But my mom was the one who was expected to do all of that stuff, despite the fact that she was working overnights and often working like more than 40 hours a week because she was a nurse. So she, worked overtime and stuff. Um, so like I saw a lot of misogynistic stuff when I was growing up. I saw that. I saw I don't know, just the way my dad treated my mom sometimes, the way my parents both played favorites with my brother because he is a boy. The way like he was allowed to listen to music with swearing, but we couldn't because we were girls. We weren't allowed to swear because we were girls. All those kinds of things that are like, yeah, this is misogynistic, but I didn't have a word for that at the time. And I just wonder how much of like, I don't know. There was always this idea too, and I can't think of a good example off the top of my head, but I do remember like having it instilled in me that I was never going to be as good as like any of the boys in my class. Even academically, I was at the top of my class for pretty much all of elementary school. Actually, this is a kind of funny thing. I would have probably gotten a scholarship after middle school, uh, except for the fact that I did switch from the private school I went to public school for a year. And so and then, like, even though I went back to the private school for the final year of middle school, I was ineligible for the scholarship that they like gave out at the end of middle school because I went to a different school for a year. So despite the fact that I was at the top of my class and got the best grades in my class and had the best attendance and all of that, did not matter. Went to a boy in my class. So that was frustrating. Um, but yeah, it was just like a very frustrating, obnoxious thing. And it just like that's not even like my family being misogynistic, but kind of the school I went to being that way. And basically telling me, yeah, you may be the best, but it doesn't matter because you're a girl. And I know there were other factors there, but still, I don't think me going to a different school for a year should make a difference if I am getting the best grades and if I have the best attendance and all of that. I should be getting the award, like whatever. It's stupid. It's just kind of wild. But yeah, I mean, I do remember like my male cousins could get away with a lot more than us girl cousins could when I was growing up. I don't know, there was just so much of that, and I wonder how much of like my how much that contributed to anxiety that I now suffer from. How much that contributed to like depression. Depression also runs in my family, so there's probably a genetic component as well, but how much of it also can be attributed to being told or shown throughout my life that even if you are the best, it doesn't matter because you're a girl. Since you were assigned female at birth, it doesn't matter. I it's just an interesting revelation and realization that, oh my gosh, like maybe my part of my lack of self-worth is because I was shown growing up in a lot of different ways that you matter less because you are a girl, and your opinion matters less because you are a girl, and all of that. And now, I am not a girl, I am non-binary, but, my family doesn't get that. I don't think they ever will. I think my sister gets it. Don't know if my brother does. He's older and weirder. But my sister gets that. I haven't actually talked to my sister about it a lot, to be fair. It doesn't matter to me that much. I, like, will be honest. And maybe that is just, like, because with family, especially, like, my, older relatives, it's just easier to not care that much. Out of all of the battles to fight, that is just not one that is worth taking the time for me. I will fight to the death for other people's, like, you if my family misgenders someone and it's someone that it does matter to them, then I will care and I will fight for that. But, like, for me, whatever. You can call me whatever you want. I don't even really care. It doesn't matter to me personally. So, that's fine. Um that's and that's why, like, I, even though they them is like my preferred pronouns, I don't really care if people call me she her. It does not matter to me that much. So, it's just whatever. Um but yeah, like, I was raised as a girl, and I was raised being told I am a girl, and I was raised of being shown constantly that, like, because you are a girl, you're not always going to get the best stuff, and things are not going to be nice for you sometimes, and that's just the way it is, and you just have to be okay with that. And I wonder how much of my lack of self-worth is because of that. Um, Great example, outside of, like, my house, uh, out in the workforce, at my first job, I worked at a grocery store, and I did a lot of stuff there, but one of the things I did there was that I worked early mornings on the weekends doing bookkeeping. All of the other early morning weekend bookkeepers, because we kind of, like, rotated for a while. It wasn't every single weekend that I was doing it at first, and then eventually it was just me doing it every single weekend. But at first it was, like, not just me, it was other people too. And the other people were all guys, and I was the only girl who was doing it. And I am gonna say guy and girl because we were, like, young, still in high school at the time. So, we were not adults yet. But there was a point in time while we were all still doing that where all of the guys who were doing part-time weekend bookkeeping got a raise. They got $1 raise, and I did not. And, this is one of those cases also where it's like, hey, you should talk to your coworkers about how much you get paid, because you might find out that you or other people are being screwed, and that's not fair. But yeah, like, they were all like, oh, isn't it cool that we got a raise? And I'm just like, what do you mean? No, I didn't get one. What are you talking about? And I had to go, like, basically demand a raise in a nice way. I was assertive, not aggressive. But yeah, I had to go and say, well, all the other bookkeepers got a raise. How come I did not get a raise? And it was just, oh yeah, we just kind of forgot. Yeah, okay. It seemed like it was a gendered decision. But, after I asked for one, they gave me one, but I shouldn't have to ask. If everyone else in my position is getting one, why did I have to ask for it? Why did I have to expend more energy to be like, yeah, if everyone else got one, give me one too. So, like, real world example of that happening and it affecting me, and, like, me realizing that either I am going to have to, like, I think that's part of why my personality is, like, I have to work hard all the time, and I feel like if I'm not giving it, like, 300% all the time, that I'm doing something wrong, because that's what it takes to get what everyone else is getting. And everyone else meaning mostly, cis-het white men. And I feel like that's maybe part of that, which is I have had never really thought of that before. That maybe like yeah, maybe that lack of self-worth and that feeling that I have to do more and have to constantly be on, maybe that is because of internalized misogyny. That's just like a crazy thing. Huh. Do I find a way to stop feeling like that? I don't know. I'm so tired of going above and beyond and getting nothing out of it. That's just more of a general corporate America sucks or late stage capitalism sucks kind of thing, but hmm, ongoing problem, how to deal with, unsure. I don't know. Bigger ongoing problem being misogyny and potentially internalized misogyny. And yeah, I think, like, for me, it has definitely gotten better since I have started exploring, like, the fact that gender is just a made up construct. And, like, your gender is not determined by your sex. And yeah, realistically, okay. I'm not belittling people's gender when I say gender doesn't really matter. What I am more saying is that, like I just said, it's a made up construct. It's something humans came up with as a way of categorizing people, and I understand that categorizing people is like, especially like in the past, when from an evolutionary standpoint it made sense. We needed to categorize things quickly in our minds because it was important for survival. However, in like present day society, it's kind of a problem because you don't really need to categorize people. It's not that important to put people into boxes without getting to know them first. But hey, here we are, and that's what we do. um, I feel like the more I have learned about that sort of stuff, and the more I have explored my own like gender identity and all of that, it has gotten a lot better, and I feel like I don't experience as much internalized misogyny and all of that sort of thing. But now I'm just like sitting here, chatting about and exploring how it may have shaped my life without me realizing it. And how it may have, like, kind of screwed me over in some ways by making me less willing to pursue opportunities or less willing to try things because some part of me believed I didn't deserve those things because I am female presenting. Oh, that's just kind of crazy and wild. I am trying to get better about that. I mean, I'm trying to like get out there and do more things lately. Not today since I am tired as heck, but trying to get out there and do more things lately. My birthday's coming up in a few weeks, and I'm trying to like think of what kind of thing I can maybe do for my birthday. I don't know that it matters, but whatever. Let's pretend it does. I'm gonna do another Nerd Night presentation in April. Don't know what I'm gonna present on yet. Still trying to figure that out. Got a couple months to figure it out yet. But so I'm trying to get out there and do more things and give myself more credit. But yeah. It's tough when people are out there trying to give me credit for things I haven't done or what don't. This is a whole other conversation, but I learned yesterday that my boss believes I am a social media expert, and I am definitely not. My boss believes I am an expert in that because I have a master's degree in pop culture studies. It is funny to me that she has made that assumption because she has like 2 or 3 advanced degrees, like beyond undergrad. And she knows that when you get a degree in especially an advanced degree in something, it's a very specialized focus. So making the assumption that because I have a master's degree in pop culture studies, that automatically means I am an expert in social media is kind of wild. That is not at all what my focus was on in my master's program. So it's just kind of wild to me. I'm like, I'm not actually an expert in that. I mean, could I give a presentation on it if I had to? Could I fake it? Sure. Do I use social media? Yeah. But I am not in any way an expert. And I could tell people what you are quote unquote supposed to do, but I don't do any of that stuff. Anyway, I just think it's interesting that, like, my boss apparently thinks I'm an expert in that. And I am definitely not. And I've never done anything that has like proven that I am. So it's just wild to me. This is not internalized misogyny, really, but maybe it is. The idea that, like, women shouldn't be underhanded and women shouldn't do terrible, like, shouldn't do things like acting like I am an expert in something just because my boss thinks I am. But so maybe that is an internalized misogyny thing because men do that all the time. To get ahead. So maybe I should just be like, yeah, totally, and use that to get ahead. I don't know. It's just kind of wild. What do I do? I don't know what to do. I am just, yeah, it's a whole thing. Maybe something for another video, another recording, but the reason that came up is that my boss was floating the idea of me going to a training I would not normally go to and presenting for part of that training on social media usage and that sort of thing. I like giving presentations. I like teaching and I miss doing that. However, I do not get paid to do that. Like, that is not in my job description, and I would not get compensated extra for doing it. Like, I wouldn't get a bonus or anything like that for doing that. So, as much as, like, one part of me is like, yeah, I really want to do that, and hey, that could help build my resume and stuff, I also would not be being compensated for it in the moment, and I'm not sure that a hope of future compensation is good enough for something like that. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's a topic for another thing. It just is another thing where it feels like I'm just expected to, be like, yeah, okay, I'll just do this extra thing. Would you ask a man to do this without extra pay? I don't know if you would. Maybe that's a little bit of internalized misogyny on her part. Oh, I don't know. It's tough. But yeah, internalized misogyny. It's a thing. It's a thing I did not realize had affected me so much, but it probably has affected me a lot. Which is a crazy thing to think about and realize. Wow. I don't know if this is a useful or good recording, but here we are. If I wasn't so tired, I would have done a video today, but I am incredibly tired, so I am gonna try. That is a plan for next weekend, assuming I am not dead tired again. My plan is to do a video recording where I speak to you meaning whoever is listening on YouTube, with video and not just audio. You will be able to see my face. That is the plan. I'm not gonna promise it because who knows what might happen, but that is the plan. Yeah. Let me know if you have any comments or questions or anything like that in the comments. If there's anything specific you want to hear me talk about, if there's anything specific that you would like me to not talk about, just, feel free to tell me that was a dumb topic and you shouldn't talk about it again. I don't know. I might not listen, but I would love to know what you think, so that would be great. And this has been my Ria Com, and I will try and chat at you again soon. Bye.